Hello. Oh, that's been a while. Hello, one viewer, maybe. Well, I don't know how many. Um, my hair sucks. So after so many months, what can I say? I finally feel relieved, happy. I'm not happy just feelings and stuff, but happy because I was seen and heard. And what does that mean? To be seen and to be heard. You meet with someone you've never spoken to before. They haven't seen much more than maybe just certain files. And they immediately tell you, not even respond to you, but they immediately go and tell you that they have experience with specific institution or type of people that work there, or maybe even specific people from those institutions, and they tell you how they have experienced them from their professional point of view, and they use exactly the same words that are playing in your head. For so last month, today is 1st of November, so in October I had two courts. One was for the case where basically I had to protect myself, but I did it in a wrong way, and I was also accused of being the aggressor. And luckily, in a sense of like how it looks like, um, I was the charges against me in terms of being the aggressor and being a bad person were dropped. Um, but they said that I may have overreacted in anxiety and fear. So they said I have to go and seek therapy, and if I don't, then there would be punishment. So it's fine. It's not an ideal result, it's not an ideal outcome. If they think I'm an anxious person, that's fine, that's on them. But point is, the week after, I also had finally the court with my ex-partner, and uh, it was about the fact that now child protective services get involved and they supervise the dynamic between the kids, between myself and the kids, between her and the kids, and general development, and they do this for 12 months. And with this, they're also going to look into a little bit deeper into what was going on between ourselves, I guess. I don't know how they're gonna do, what they're gonna actually do and how, but I do know that they work in a team of experts and they dig into a lot of stuff. So, having said that, because the person I was mentioning in the part of having been seen and heard finally for now about a year and a half, I would say, or more, I was looking for a legal advisor support just for this case. So to basically help me navigate through all these challenges I had with my ex, and the most importantly, the social services that turned out to be precisely what I said, just something that the world hasn't seen before. Um, so when this guy spoke to me in about an hour the first time when we met, and then at court before the hearing started, and then after we had the coffee. And I immediately felt not just there's a guy who knows what he's doing, he has personal experience in similar situations, and we immediately can connect on so many different levels. So, hey, RNG Gaming, welcome. So It was really good because this time I didn't go to court anxious at all, or anxious in a sense like anticipating the stuff I've already seen before with the system, which made me lost all trust in people and ability to defend myself here. But it actually turned quite the opposite way around. I'm not gonna go into the details. My ex did something that turned a little bit funny for me, at least. Um, and if I say more about it, and if she watches this later, I would give away a bit too much what's going on. I'll let her figure it out later. But it definitely made my day. However, that's not the point. The moment I met my lawyer, the months coming to the court, I started feeling from that clarity, happiness, a lot of energy, active, really building building up on my health and body as much as I can, all of this kind of stuff. Um, I saw myself getting feeling a little bit, I don't know, depressed, not so willing and motivated to do stuff. Uh, hey, I thought I could have thought about it. When the moment I met this guy and he starts talking and he tells me how his experience with this social team was and what he thinks about it. I love you too, kiddo. Thanks for coming on the stream. Um, so the moment he started speaking and I literally had much less of effort and time and everything that I thought I was going to need to explain, it was amazing to realize that everything was just flowing effortlessly from that point on. Um, the moment I walked out of his office, I felt different, recharged, energy came back, kind of sense of relief that finally I'm not alone in this specific case defending myself. Because already in the previous, for my self-defense case, it was pretty intense and emotional for me to see for the first time someone really standing up and fighting for me and my rights and the justice and stuff. And now, here in this case, of course, after such a long search, so much effort, so many phone calls, so many different institutions that are supposed to somehow help on the paper at least, and just nowhere finding someone that could show me any kind of level of authority or whatever it is. Not that there is not enough competence, but they basically seem to be or appear to have their hands quite tied up when it comes to situations like mine. Until it came to Mr. Young Guy. I thought he's actually a bit older, but once we met, he's quite young. Jim from the kind of the free legal support, and he really put up a lot of effort in finding the right people, the right, in this case also the right lawyer and stuff, and coincidentally a perfect one. So yeah, um, really, it's not being seen and being heard. Finally and ultimately, it's not about being validated and feeling better about yourself, but when it comes to terms that certain things you have believed and you knew that were facts, and nobody else heard you and nobody else saw you, and then that drives you, in a sense, crazy, helpless, hopeless, lonely, sometimes willing to cut it all off. Not willing, but the the emotion and the feeling of helplessness and the guilt and the shame, losing everything. That's is something that's really, I see how much damage it does to people, and you cannot think straight. Your brain is foggy. Your eyesight is literally more tunneled, more dark, maybe. I don't know. It is so hard for people that reach that point to actually see a way out. And without good help, someone who really hears you and sees you, a lot of people are suffering. And that's what I can see because I'm right now joined into one or two communities with the guys. In one of them, it's a bit more open. A lot of people are talking and sharing what's guys, but there's roughly 19,000 members in that community. And I must say, a lot of stories are a lot like mine. And those that are, and then there's, for example, I see people living somewhere in United States where healthcare is extremely expensive. That then means also mental health care is not that accessible with people. Um, Even trying to rely on your family and friends and stuff can be challenging and difficult because ultimately a lot of people are in that survival mode and really unaware of when their own self-projected reactions and responses have caused pain. And the way I can see it, that really emotional pain can often be a lot more damaging over longer periods of time than the physical pain. It leaves massive trauma on the body, muscle fatigue, chronic sleeplessness, or lack of energy in the sense that you just have to go to sleep. Otherwise, you can't do anything, even in the middle of the day. Um, Lack of clarity, and it's not just in a sense of that you can't really clearly see short term, mid term, and long term future for yourself, but lack of clarity within the thoughts. You can lose the train, you can lose whole track of where you were going with it. Finding yourself very often like misplacing items, forgetting where they are, loopholes in the memory, all that kind of stuff. It just basically makes you feel not normal. And when you feel this way, it's extremely hard to see yourself going to job, have a normal life, fit into the society, all of this kind of stuff. And it's not even about fitting the society into the society, but just in a sense, we need each other. So whether we like it or not, we need to try and work together so we can live, survive, and then live and prosper. So it's not so much about fitting in, but it's about syncing together with people and see what works for you and works also for others. Now that I'm finally feeling supported, at least in one element and one direction in life, and I know where it's going, it feels so much more free. And the way I can see it, like what's best I can do is, for example, in this community where I am, I thought I was gonna end up the one needing help and asking for questions and advice, which I still do, of course. There's a lot of things I still need to work on myself, certain accountability things. But in the meantime, with everything I've been through and the experience I gained from it, the lessons, I definitely had feedback from a couple of guys at least that were pretty much, at least to their own words, on the edge of not knowing what to do next with their lives. Whether it was totally on the dark side or they were just lost with regards to how to communicate difficult things with their parents or partners or someone close to them. So I helped them gain different perspectives on what's going on. I'm with the people in that dynamic pretty quickly. And yeah, they sent me the gratitude back that it really helped them, and it helps that I'm around for some of those that are going through more consistently difficult issues. I try to check up on them as well if I can, because it's not easy for me to think about so many people and check up on them. But yeah, with that giving, I also receive for myself and a lot more reflection on some of the things I was doing when I was feeling really that low and that down, and how simple it is essentially to get out of that. But that it doesn't work so easy and so simple when you're alone. I must say I was lucky because of the way I self treated for the parts where I could and did have to. And then also the fact that I relentlessly study and learn through dynamics with people on a daily basis, self observation, and also watching videos, maybe reading. So essentially, it does turn out that I'm very, very curious about how our minds work, how we work from the neuroscientific and psychological perspective. I'm definitely very able to help a lot of people. So I'm finding and tapping into this expertise and experience I've gained through just basically my life. And I feel really relieved and free of pain and fear, like any kind of self sabotaging thoughts, even. Like I don't feel worthless, I don't feel useless, I don't feel less or better than others. Generally, the way I feel every day I wake up is like knowing that certain external elements like finances, work, income, um, where to go in the direction with my career and all these kind of things. What is more urgent for now, it's also stability. So clearly I'm going to be looking for jobs that are not necessarily completely in line with what I want to do later, but you know, I'm trying to in the past months I was really lazy, so there were no videos, there were no websites finished. But I've been slowly working on some of the stuff. Um, and I could have used AI. I could have done things really fast and populated with a lot of content, just like that. But that's not what I'm on about. Because even when it comes to AI, um, I'm following the subject. I'm clearly looking at what new tools are available, what's developing, what's new on the general scale of things. And yeah, for one part, it's pretty scary. On the other hand, it's very useful. But still, is it going to replace us? Is it going to do all the work for us? No, because I see that after these months and stuff of tinkering and toying around with it, I also see how many of its own downsides it has. Not to even talk about all the unnecessary copycat content, and here on YouTube and elsewhere. Like, even in the times of uncertainty, and recently I've faced a few people who, from different kind of environments, where I already felt that they are being a bit dishonest, trying to use me. And before even actually confronting anyone, saying anything, it's like they have a bit of a weird sense of what's going on. And they started with some weird accusations and allegations. And the best thing one can do is just, clearly, what I've learned from before, when that happens, you can just ask once, is that really what you believe and want to continue to believe? And if they say yes, then the best thing is to walk away. In a sense of like, did I think at that point maybe to even record what they're doing and what they're saying? I did, but they were not that necessarily important and close and influential to my life. Even with the very weird statements of as if like you made a threat against me, um, I did not want to prove them wrong, and I don't have to. I simply know that there is a place that I wasn't particularly fond of anyway, and I don't need to be there. So that's as simple as that. Walk away and leave it there. In another place, though, I didn't even know what was going on. It was not my own drama to begin with. And it was actually five people. Just on the day when I came very happy about the decision from the court to not punish me for my self defense mistakes. Um, these five people at once decided to be rather extremely abusive, aggressive, manipulative, and tried to provoke me into, I don't know, maybe a reaction that they could use against me. While I did feel very upset and angry about it, I was really proud and happy on the other hand, and at the same time, that with any amount of damage I could have done to anything or anyone, now I have complete control over myself, and I have that proper peace over knowing that if nobody wants or can really physically hurt me, I don't need to get involved. And they can even yell and whatnot. I might say something to them, I might be rude, I might raise my voice even, but I will definitely not make another mistake, such as trying to get in the way of someone who starts to be physical with me. So, and then if that happens, and it is dangerous enough, always try to have a video, because that is the one thing that looks like in any country, in any legal system, will always be saving your ass. And then the last lesson learned, and I'm gonna conclude that again with the video. Always record everything and every interaction. When you're dealing with people in any kind of sense, whether it's your wife, your family, your friends, or maybe backstabbing friends, as it would be turning out, maybe in the real time or slowly, because it does clearly with a lot of people. And then also public services. Let's say that most often would be police. They could be abusing their power. Social services, clearly, at least here in Netherlands, in some places, um, they do lack proper education, competence, and things like that. And they have a very big issue by being called out on this kind of stuff. And you may be completely correct and right about it. So when you're facing people like that, especially when it comes to public servants, I was told that even here in Europe, whenever it comes with for about your conversation with a public servant, you're allowed to record, even inside a public building, such as municipality, such as this, such as that. And you don't have to tell them about it. You can record. So my mistake was actually believing all these people that are not allowed to record within their office. I could have always been recording for my own protection. Having learned that, now I know what to do. So this is really the ultimate lesson in life. Without evidence, without any kind of way, proving something in court is still possible. I have proven my innocence when the court was comparing, in my self-defense case, was comparing the words of the so-called victim and me as a defendant. And even the prosecution recognized that it was very easy to see who they can believe and who they cannot believe at all. So, and of course, the person they could believe was me. Consistency, well, honesty makes you consistent with what you speak and the stories you have. You don't have to make anything up, you don't have to add, you don't have to change, you don't have to turn around, because you simply tell them exactly as it is. Of course, we all have our own perception. Mind sometimes plays tricks on us, selective memories, things like that. Especially under traumatic circumstances, you might not always remember things correctly. It happens to all of us. But in a grand scale of things, when they ask you about the story, you're going to tell them the same story 2 years later as you did on the day when it happened. So, believing people is really not something anyone should be doing blindly, but you can do it quite easily. Observe what they do, how they treat others, especially people below their status, and all of these things. And if their words and their actions are not generally aligned, because nobody is perfect. Let's say, I could say I'll come to a certain appointment. I'll even note it down in my calendar, and still things can happen, and I can get so distracted that I'll forget about the appointment. So you can't always do exactly what you say. But in general terms speaking, If people say, especially to me, what happens, I would have never cheated on anyone, on anybody, or I would never cheat on you. These are exactly the kind of people I would become more mindful of. Because, especially if we certainly did not come up to that kind of debate, what's the point of saying it? But never mind. The problem is that a lot of people aren't exactly who they present themselves to be. For whatever reasons, whatever issues, it doesn't matter. And keeping some sort of, whether it's a journal or in certain cases, or better, most, keeping a video is something that can help you keep your sanity and your brain and yourself on the ground while you're facing someone who can be extremely toxic, manipulative, and deceitful. The worst part about it is that whenever you try to reason with such people, you're trying to talk to them maybe in the same manner like I'm talking right now. They will continue to turn and get you into a more emotional spin. So we all feel emotions, we all feel something, but you can never reason with an idiot, especially if you're already emotional about it. So having said that, I'm super happy that I feel really, really stable in my own terms where my ground is, because a lot can happen outside and I'm still here. Thanks, Kido, for coming on my stream and surprising me with your comments. I love you so much. I love you all watching this now or later. Thanks for coming by. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I will try to be more proactive again, come up with some different topics specifically about how to get out of emotionally extremely challenging situations and dynamics with other people and partners and so on and so on. So, see you around, and peace.